Everybody, so I am recording this again because I did this video the first time around, and I wanted to do it a second time around to see if I like this version better. So basically what I wanted to talk about today is, I don't know what I'm going to call this. And first and foremost, I'm no expert. Okay, I've never came on here on this app claiming to be an expert. But basically what I'm going to be doing is talking about things that are a culmination of my life experiences, things that I've learned from therapy, things that that I feel that have helped me, that I've helped myself with healing in life, and things that I've also learned from my husband, because that's his profession. So anyhow, basically in this video I wanted to get into Latinos and depression. So a couple of weeks ago I looked it up. I did a Google search of Latinos and depression, and I just wanted to see what would come up if I did a search like that. And oddly enough, it said that Puerto Ricans, out of all the Latino groups, that we have the highest rates of depression and the highest rates of anxiety out of all the Latino groups. And I found that to be very interesting, but not surprising, because I kind of feel like Puerto Rican people in general, that we tend to look out for other Latin groups and look out for other groups of people, whether we get the credit for it or not. We do, and we have. And I think that and simultaneously Puerto Ricans being a Commonwealth of the United States, and then the negative the negative associations that people have with Puerto Ricans, that are especially from New York, that we have. I think it's kind of a combination of things, and just the overall outlook on Puerto Rican people is in a lot of cases, what you hear, the stereotypes about us are negative. And again, I'm kind of speaking in regards to other groups of people that refer to Puerto Rican people. And this would even refer to other Latin people that look down on Puerto Rican people. And I know that there's people that don't like to talk about that type of stuff, but I'm not going to sugarcoat that shit. So it is the actual truth. I've seen it. I've lived it. There's been times in my life where people would ask me, and this is like back when I was like in New York City mainly, and people would talk to me, and they would get to know me a little bit, and just even adult, like older people. I remember things like this happening to me when I was a kid, and they would like me. They would seem to like me or take kindly to me as a person, like they liked how I was as a person. And then they would ask me, where are you from, or where's your and then I would tell them what my background was, and they'd go, oh. It's happened to me several times in my life. And they go, oh. And like, they don't know how to react. It's like all of a sudden, me telling them that, my family is from Puerto Rico, and like I have a Mexican grandfather, right? Like that turns into like, oh. Then they're like, oh, I didn't know you were from there. I've even had people be like, oh, you don't act like typical Puerto Ricans, or you don't dress like typical Puerto Ricans, as a way to like compliment me, but they're insulting me. It's like a backhanded compliment, and there's no compliment in that. Like, what the fuck does that mean, right? And I knew exactly what that meant. And I think that those type of experiences are, and I'm not saying that other Latin people don't go through this or whatever, but I feel like because we've been here longer, there's more generations of negative experiences with our ancestors being in this country, right? And I think because of that, we have more of a different built up traumas than maybe some other Latino people, like other Latino groups have. And I'm not saying that they don't have their issues. I'm just saying that it's not the same, and maybe the research is not there yet because they haven't been in the country as long, if that makes any sense. But the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in this video doesn't just pertain to like Puerto Rican people. I just figured I would mention that because I found it very interesting that it was us that had the worst cases of depression and anxiety. And even I myself have been diagnosed with those things from my own therapist, because I do go to therapy, and I've been going to therapy for a while now. And I will say that, if first and foremost, if you can afford it, because I know that not everybody has it, but then there's people that do. They have the insurance, and there's people that just don't go. They just don't want to go to therapy for whatever pride or whatever reasons they feel they just don't want to go, right? But in my opinion, the first thing to healing is, if you can get into therapy, find a good therapist. And finding a good therapist is not always easy either. Find a good therapist. If you can afford it, go to therapy. Go to therapy, man. I mean, I recommend it to everybody. And there's even more and more men now that are going to therapy, and I think that is awesome. Awesome, because it's needed. And I think within our community it's still frowned upon, and especially like a lot of us, or people that are around my age, if you have like boomer parents, like that boomer generation. I try not to insult the boomer generation, but the boomer generation did a lot of fucked up shit. That the way Trump is, a lot of boomers, even if whether they're right wing or left wing, they still have a very similar ideology to the way Trump does. And regardless of where they stand politically, a lot of them kind of still align with that narcissistic way of thinking that a lot of boomers have. And again, this isn't all boomers, so if there's boomers watching me and you're getting offended, don't get offended, all right? Because if it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't. But there are a lot of boomers that are like that. All right. And a lot of boomers had this ideology like, oh, you're going to a head doctor, oh, you're going to go see a shrink, and they'll frown upon going to get therapy. Like, don't listen to those people. Like, if you have anybody like that, you want to go to therapy, and you're a full-blown adult, and you have a parent, and they're making fun of you for going to therapy, get the fuck away from them. I'm sorry, because why would you make fun of somebody that's trying to do anything and everything that they can to help heal themselves, and from in a lot of cases the stuff that you brought into their life by raising them in a messed up way, or raising them in a messed up environment. Okay. So please don't listen to those people. Anybody that's trying to tell you that you going to therapy is that basically you're saying that there's something wrong with you. Don't listen to people like that. So if you can go to therapy, again, try to go to therapy. All right. None of us are perfect. I'm very flawed. I never came on here saying that I'm perfect. I never came on here thinking that I'm better than anybody ever. Okay. If anything, I've had people do that to me a lot. Okay. So a lot of times in my videos, when I say things, it's me responding to people in the past that have been that way with me, that think that they're better than me. I've had that my whole life, where people have thought that they were better than me. Okay. So, you got to cut that shit out. Okay. Nobody is better than anybody. And if you have the means and the ability to help yourself, and if it's, going to some therapy sessions, or, a couple of times a month, or if it's every couple of weeks, whatever, then do it. Do it for yourself, because you deserve it. If you don't have money for therapy, I would say journaling is something that's really helpful, or is helpful for me. If you have a way to write down your feelings, get things out. You want to get things out, but you may not be able to, you don't have anybody to really confide in, and you don't want to burden other people with your problems. It was just kind of a problem that I have. Like, I don't like really talking to people about my problems. But if you have a way, even if you have a trusted friend that you can speak to every now and then, don't bombard everybody with your, especially like if you're in a toxic relationship and you're like calling a friend on the phone and keeping them on the phone for hours talking about your bullshit relationship, and you're not leaving your partner. Don't do that. Okay. Please leave the person if they're that toxic. All right. So I'm not saying to do that, but like, if you can get things off your chest, to somebody, and confide in somebody, and if you can journal or whatever, journaling actually helps a lot. And a lot of times you'll journal and you write things down, and you go back and you read the stuff that you wrote down. A lot of times you'll be able to figure out problems within your own life yourself. You'll be like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that until I wrote it down. I reread it, and it made me think of something else, and it made me be like, oh shit, I'm recognizing this in myself, and now I know that there's something that I can do about it, right? So that helps. All right. Speaking to someone, journaling, working out. And I'm not saying like to be in the gym every single day or whatever. If you have the money, the means to go to a gym or whatever, then do it. If not, go jogging, go running, do workout in your home. Try to do 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Get that shit out of your system. Try. Diet. And I'm about right now, I'm gonna be, I'm guilty. Again, when I say things, I'm guilty of these things. Sometimes my diet is it's not the greatest, all right? But then there's times, like I'll balance it out, right? And I'll have, like a few days of vegetarian, vegan stuff, right? But then there's days that I'll be doing fast food. I'm guilty. I'm not saying I'm innocent and that I eat clean every single day and I don't touch this and I just eat everything I grow from my whole garden. And, no, I don't do that shit. I don't have time to grow a fucking garden. I have 2 small kids. I ain't doing that, okay? Maybe one day in the future, but I don't have that. And if you have the ability to do that, that's awesome, okay? I have a black thumb. Anytime I try to plant things, grow things, garden things, I kill it. So I am not good at it and I don't have the time for it. But, eat healthier. Try to limit your caffeine intake. That's another problem that I had, and I've gotten a lot better at it. When I was younger, oh my God, I would have like 5-6 cups of coffee every single day. Freaking 5-6 cups of Bustelo, especially in my 20s and my 30s. Like a lot of Latin people, we be drinking coffee all day, all night, right? You got to try to limit the coffee. Coffee can help you with some things, but coffee can also make you a whole lot worse with other things. I actually have problems with really bad migraines to the point where I have to take medication for it, prescription medication for it, okay? And at one time when I was younger, coffee would help with those things. Coffee would help with headaches. Coffee would help with, the caffeine would help me. Now it doesn't help me anymore. Now, if anything, it makes me worse. So I have to be careful with my caffeine intake. And sometimes the caffeine intake is no good for your heart. There's a lot of studies that show how bad caffeine is for your heart, and too much of it is bad for you. Again, I'm guilty because I love soda and I love coffee. I am guilty. I am not saying this because I think I'm better, and I'm not saying because I don't do it because I do. But, you have to limit those things too, and those things also fuck with your anxiety. All right. And I notice it myself. Like if I have too many cups of coffee within a day and I start to feel it, I start to feel more anxious, that the caffeine is making my anxiety worse. So I would also say, that's another way for you to help yourself. Stay away from people that don't want to see you do better. Stay away from people that want to see you get into conflicts. Stay away from people that just want to use and abuse you. Stay away from people that just see you as amusement. Stay away from anybody that doesn't want to see you do better. Like if you have friends and family around you and you're telling them, like ideas and things that you want to do with yourself, or you want to go back to school, or you want to get this type of job, or you want to do this, or you want to build an online business, or you want to be a YouTuber, or you want to, get into social media or whatever, and they're laughing at you and they're like, that's a bad idea. Stay the hell away from those people. Stay the hell away from those people. Limit your time. If you have to be around those people, at least limit your time with them, and don't talk about those things with them. Don't talk about it at all. Don't talk about anything that you want to do for yourself, and there's people that are around. You know what? I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. The minute that somebody's telling you that that's not a good idea, and they're your quote-unquote friend, unless you're like doing something that's really compromising your life, right? I'm not talking about that, but like if you want to make, videos on things or whatever, history, current events, stuff that you're interested, whatever. Okay, stuff that's not like literally hurting anybody, that's gonna get your ass locked up. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Putting your whole naked body on the screen. That's stupid, right? But I'm saying, like, if there's something that you want to do and you have the people around you that are like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. No, you think you're gonna be good at that? Why do you want to do that? I don't think that's good. No, you should get into this. You're good at this. No, you should stay the hell away from those people. Okay. Stay away from anybody that doesn't want to see you succeed, because really what it is that they're afraid that you're going to succeed. They're afraid that you're going to do good, and they're afraid that you're going to leave them behind. Stay away from people like that, because all they can see you as, especially if it's like family, they just still see you as that little girl, that little boy, right? So they're not going to see the potential that you have. And it's funny that sometimes even strangers will see the potential, but the people around you, the family that's around you, they don't see the potential, or they do see the potential, and they're trying to hold you back from it because they don't want you to leave them behind, and they don't want you to do better than them. There's families that are out there. There's Latin families that are out there that they don't want to see their kids do better than them. So they fuck their kids over, and by ways of different things, by abuse, by, telling their kids negative things. Let me tell you something. My whole life, like, a lot of times my parents said a lot of things to deter me and to make me, not feel good about myself or my self-worth. And as an adult, now that I have to heal that shit, a lot of our parents did things, and as an adult, unfortunately, we're the ones that have to now grow up, recognize things for what it is, and we have to heal our trauma, so this way we don't pass that shit on to our own kids, and also so that we can heal ourselves and have a better life. You know what I mean? My life right now is so much better now as an older person than it was when I was a kid. There's people that love being a teenager, love being a kid. I hated my childhood. I hated my teens, my 20s, and being a small child. I hated it. My youth sucked. It sucked. I would never want to go back to that ever again. There's people that they're like, oh, I love to be in high school. Oh, those were the days. I am not one of those people. I hated it with a passion. Like, I had a few friends here or there, but I had like my little clique of friends like in high school. But other than that, I hated it. I hated it so much. It was so traumatizing for me, between the environment that I grew up in, all of the substance abuse that I grew up around, living with my dad, witnessing domestic violence. I hated my youth. I absolutely despised it. And, I know that my parents have gotten better now that they're older. You know what I mean? But they did a lot of fucked up shit when they were young. My life sucked. It seriously did. And I'm trying everything that I can at this point in my life to not pass on to those things, to my children. And it's scary. Like, I when I was like really young, like, I never ever wanted kids, and I didn't want kids until I was older. And miraculously, my husband and I ended up getting pregnant in my 30s for the first time. And that was after I had quit smoking. I was a cigarette smoker and everything. I quit smoking. Within a few months, I got pregnant. And I was with my husband, and we were together for years. And I had never got pregnant. And I got pregnant, and I realized, oh my God, I want this. And I was scared, but I realized I wanted it. But I was petrified. And I was petrified because I know that I have all these traumas and all of these things that I've been through that, that I was terrified of. Deep down, like in my subconscious, I was terrified of that. And, to some level, I still am. I'm trying with everything in me to, like, do better by my kids and to not repeat the cycles that went on in my family. I'm really, really, really trying so hard to break those curses. And if you're around the wrong people, what they want you to do is, because they want to stay in those curses, they don't want to heal, they don't want to grow, they want to just blame everything on everybody else instead of taking accountability now that they're adults. Unfortunately, that's how it is. You get abused and all this shit, all the mistreatment in your youth, you grow up, guess what? Now it's your problem and you got to deal with it. Now you got to deal with it. You don't deal with it by fucking hurting other people all the time and then making excuses about, your childhood was so bad, or your childhood was so... My childhood was bad too. And you know what? I'm not going around and fucking people over and blaming my childhood because of it. All right? You get to a point where you're an adult and you have to do shit differently. Now you have to take accountability for your life. Because now guess what? You have kids. And now you can't keep going back on the excuse as my life was fucked up. My life was fucked up. Yeah, a lot of our lives were fucked up. Growing up in an inner city environment, poor, with family and, with parents that, especially, boomer parents. If anybody has boomer parents like I do, they wanted to get into that drugs, and they were heavy into drugs, heavy into alcohol, heavy into that party lifestyle, and they wanted to do all that stupid shit. And there was people that either did one or two things. They either got into that lifestyle themselves, they got into that lifestyle because maybe their parents weren't into it, but their neighbors and their kids were, and it was all out in the street and they wanted to do it. Or it was the opposite. They saw their parents acting stupid and they wanted to get the fuck away from that. They're like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, like an example that I saw growing up. He came home so high and so fucked up and so drunk that he was literally walking into walls, cracking up. He was smacking himself, walking into walls. Okay, we had a fish tank. There happened to be like a broom that was close to the fish tank. The broom fell when he smacked into a wall, walking into a wall. It ended up bouncing. The broom that we had, the broom bounced into the fucking the fish tank. All the fishes, all the water all over the floor. And then he was sick and throwing up. And I was a kid and I had to see that and I had to deal with it. Okay? Like, and again, I'm not saying these things because, I think that because I lived through these things that I went, and I'm sure that people are hearing that, well, I went through worse. Like I'm sure you did go through worse, okay? But the point is that, we have to find a way to get out of that. If that's what you want to do, get out of it, then you can get out of it. You can change. You can make the changes. You can get out of that environment. You could get away from people like that. You can get away from that mindset. It's hard. It's fucking hard. There's times, within my mind that I feel like I relapse and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I grew up like this. I grew up like that. No, and I can't. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. And you don't have to do it either. You don't have to do it either. And the stuff that our parents taught us, it wasn't right. That wasn't right. Them, they grew up through a lot of things fine. Drugs and alcohol, especially the drugs, those things were put in our communities fine. It's fucked up. And it's fucked up that we had to see that and we had to go through that. Yes, it was. It was awful. And I have my resentments for that. You have no idea, in the bigger scheme of things, how angry that makes me. And how angry that it makes me that nowadays, that with all the new technology, that now it's seen, people that have drug addictions and all of that those are seen as illnesses. Meanwhile, when we were coming up, that those things were, we saw family and people incarcerated for 20 years, 30 years because of those fucking things. And now you got people, especially within the white community, they're into all of these drugs now, and now it's seen as an illness, right? I have my resentments about that. I do. I'm not innocent with that. I do. It pisses me off. But at the same time, we got to come out of it. We came out of it. Just think of it, right? We grew up in that, and we're still alive. We're still alive. We made it out. Now, we may not have made it all in one piece, right? But we made it out. And you have to think that every single day, I made it out. And you have to think of, wow, I was strong enough. You know why? Because I know this person and they ended up being incarcerated and they're still, they're still in prison and they're doing a bid this long. Or I know this person and they really fell hard on drugs and, that's it. Or I know this person and they died. Or I know this person and they got shot. And I know this person. You're still here. There's a reason why you're still here. And I don't know that reason. You know that reason. But you're still here. And I'm still here. And what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to disable the comments. And I'm also going to take the likes off. And what I'm going to do is, based on how many likes that I get, if I get a lot of likes on this, I'll make more content like this, okay? It's the number that I have is a number in my head. I'm not going to give you guys the number so my trolls could be like, you know what? Let's not give her the like. Yeah, fuck that bitch. Let's not give her the like. Screw her. She can go die. Whatever. I just got a notification that I have an appointment coming up this Friday. That's what that was. Those dings. That's what they are. I got it on my phone and now I got it on this thing. But with that, I'm going to go because that little ding kind of threw me off. But yeah, I have a number in my head. And if I get the amount of likes that I want to get, then that would confirm in my mind that this type of content is stuff that people would actually like to hear me talk about. All right? I'm going to go for now. Take care, everybody. Whoever's watching me. I do wish people all the best. You know what I mean? I don't come on here with fucking, a hidden agenda and like, oh, I'm going to start attacking people and, doing stupid shit. That's not me. All right? That's not me. That's not my goal. My intentions are good. All right? And I wish you people all the best. Whoever's watching me, take care. And if you can go to therapy and if there's a way that you can get away from people that don't mean any good by you, then by all means get away from those people. And by all means, if you can go to therapy, then go to therapy. All right? Take it easy, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.